TV, the thing that convinces us that every crime is solved in an hour, or that 20-something-year-olds can afford a massive apartment in New York. And now, that's responsible for nationwide teen suicide. Tonight we're diving into how 13 Reasons Why sparked a moral panic. For the blissfully unaware, a moral panic is when people collectively lose their minds over something new, weird, or slightly different, convinced it'll destroy society. Like a bad sitcom, it follows a formula. Concern, someone notices something, panic mode engaged. Hostility, that thing becomes the villain in society's horror movie. Consensus, everyone from your uncle to your local news anchor declares this the biggest crisis ever. Disproportionality, logical responses vanish. Time for boycotts and new laws. Validity, the outrage fades as something shinier takes over. The show, spanning 4 seasons, focused on a teen girl's suicide and her friends uncovering the reasons behind it. While teen crime dramas aren't new, 13 Reasons Why sparked panic over its glamorization of suicide, fueling fears of a contagion effect. The backlash was immediate. Schools sent warnings, psychologists issued statements, and parents called for Netflix to be held accountable. The hysteria spread to social media, making 13 Reasons Why the most tweeted about show of 2017. And yes, responsible portrayals of suicide in media matter, but boiling a complex crisis down to one villain, whether it's Netflix, social media, or video games, ignores the deeper systemic failures behind the problem. Teen suicide was already a crisis long before 13 Reasons Why. Studies on whether the show actually increased suicide rates were mixed. There's no clear evidence, yet instead of asking why mental health support is failing young people, everyone fixated on the show. Because let's face it, blaming a TV show is easier than fixing the real problem. That's moral panic behavior. Find an easy scapegoat, ignore the hard stuff, and blame the folk devils. The outrage had real consequences. Schools implemented bans, Netflix edited controversial scenes, adding warnings, and New Zealand even created a new rating just for the show. But here's what got lost. Many teens found 13 Reasons Why relatable. Some even said it helped them start conversations about mental health. But the outrage machine had already moved on. And then silence. That's the thing about moral panics. They burn bright, then disappear. But guess what didn't disappear? The actual teen mental health crisis. So what did we learn? 13 Reasons Why wasn't above criticism, but the panic was a distraction. We fixated on a TV show instead of addressing the real issues. Like mental health care in this country is underfunded, inaccessible, and stigmatized. Maybe instead of blaming a TV show, we can focus on actually supporting teens in crisis. Just a thought. But sure, we can keep pretending that moody teen drama and cassette tapes were the real issue.